condition, raising awareness on albinism.
Yes, it's still tea or coffee on High Impact Television, and we've already established that we are focusing on beyond the condition persons with albinism, raising awareness about their challenges, what it takes for them, to thrive in Nigeria and around the world. And it's time for us to have a discussion with our guest who would be throwing and shedding more light as regards persons with albinism and their peculiarities. We have Mr. Tolani Ojuri, who is an entrepreneur and a disability inclusion advocate. He's the Lagos State Chairman, Albinism Association of Nigeria, and he has practiced in several disability inclusion projects with European Union, among others. He's one of the United Nations sponsored teams on social protection policy formation, and at the moment he's undertaking a grassroots public enlightenment campaign on disability rights as a Commonwealth human rights advocate. Thank you for joining us, Tolani, on this conversation. All right.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yes, it's good to have you with us here. Now, quickly, based on our survey, there seems to be a lot of misconceptions regarding albinism. And why is this so?
Well, it's basically due to the myths, what we've carried from generation to generation. It's not nice to say, but it's the fact that we Africans, if you don't understand something, instead of investigating it, we just mystify it. And that's not true. There are myths that persons with albinism don't see during the day. Persons with albinism are from other climes. Persons with albinism give birth to children with albinism, and all these are not true. That yes, we have challenges seeing during the day because of low vision and because our eyes are not equipped to resist light. So for that reason, we get to squint during the day. That doesn't mean that we don't get to see during the day at all. Later in the evening, when the sun is down, you have less light, and of course, we do better where there is low light condition.
Okay.
But the fact that persons with albinism have children with albinism, that's not true. Albinism skips generations. People also believe that maybe our parents or grandparents did something bad to the gods. That's why we came up with albinism. Albinism is basically a genetic mutation, lack of melanin in the skin. And I mean, short of the melanin, persons with albinism are good to go. They can they can function in the society just as well as anybody.
All right. Now, the perception of being different can generate a lot of pressure internally or externally for a person with albinism to live and act as normal as possible. What do you think? How do people with albinism actually deal, with this exception and the perception of being different in society?
It depends on the part of in the class of the society you live in, you grow up in. The experience is slightly different from a child who grows up in a low income home to the child who grew up in an average income home to the child who grew up. I don't want to use examples of particular areas, for instance. Let me use mine as an example. I went to a public primary school, the so-called Jaconde schools in those days, and you have children from diverse backgrounds who come with all sorts of stories from their parents, and I had to deal with that. But when I started growing up, when I changed schools to another school, to a secondary school, that went down a bit. And when I grew up into adulthood, it did not entirely fade off, but it reduced depending on the part of town I stay. And like I said, I don't want to use examples of particular areas. You get those kind of things in low income areas. Even in middle and high income areas, people might even think it, but they don't say it, they don't express it to your face. That's it. But the problem is there. The stereotyping is there. It's there across. The levels are just different.
Okay. All right, now there's an argument on whether or not persons with albinism can be categorized under persons with disabilities. Can you shed more light on this?
Persons with albinism are categorized as persons with disability basically because of their low vision.
Okay.
I usually tell people I am one of less than 5% who function well. I mean, person with albinism who function well with their sight. And the reason being that we don't have the pigmentation that keeps the light out. And the eyes, most of the time, do not form completely. I have friends who are well educated who can't drive. I have friends who are well educated who cannot gauge spaces, friends with albinism who can't gauge spaces, who cannot even make out the traffic lights. So, for that reason, the low vision reason, they are categorized as persons with disability. In some other countries, persons with albinism are classified as legally blind because the law, even the Nigerian law, a lot of government agencies are compelled to provide us with assistive devices, magnifying lenses, and all sorts like that. So then, apart from that, our skin is susceptible to the UV rays of the sun, and for that reason, uh, we come down with skin cancer easily. So the Lagos State person and classify them as person with disability.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Tolani Ojuri. Our time is actually fast spent. We really would have loved to have to hear more of your thoughts on this particular conversation, but we're definitely going to have to bring you back so that we can actually learn more from you. We want to say a big thank you for the work you're doing at the Albinism Society. A big ups. We laud your efforts very much. Thank you very much for joining us on the show this morning, sir.
Thank you very much. I'll be back anytime you request me.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. All right, so that is a conversation with Tolani Ojuri on raising awareness about people with albinism. We've started a campaign called Beyond a Condition. You can follow Tea or Coffee at Watch Tea or Coffee for more information and details on this campaign. Learn about the realities of people with albinism, learn how to support them, learn about what they're going through so that you are informed. This is what we do on Tea or Coffee. We inform and we educate.